Good morning, everyone. Shakes Creations again. And I am sitting here feeling blessed. It is 7 something a.m. I'm already showered, have my leftovers from last night on this table cooling down with my moringa tea to help me with my vision today. I am on my journey to start off with Home Depot. Why was I in this bed sleeping all good, getting all I was nice? And I, I heard a mouse trying to get through the wall in the corner. Boom! I jumped right out of my bed and ran and got my spray. And I said, but I sprayed last night before I went to bed, and I'm like, but the walls sealed with steel wool and all of that. But you know what? Those things will continue to try and try and try. I have been blessed. I've been in here, I think the last 8 or 9 years without anything in here. But you know how I am. I am proactive, honey, because I don't want that on my bed. My end table near my forehead at night. No. Mm-mm. Absolutely not. I woke up one day with a mouse turd by my pillow or either on my pillow. I was bonkers. I was in this building and then a man came upstairs and sealed it. He was like, they're definitely not in here eating anything. You're using your house as a passageway, but the neighbor across the hall from me, right across the hall from me, has no ceiling. Didn't have nobody goes seal holes in her house yet. And one day she saw five in a corner, all together, having a happy family life. So I'm like, and under my front door is where they have access to get in, so easy without doing all of this digging. I'm talking just saying hello, walking in, walking out. And I saw one before come in and go out, but I don't play with rodents. Rodents are not my friend, boys and girls. I don't want that mess around me. No. And if I see a mouse in here, I can't sleep because I am so worried about that, getting on me. So, and I was in the kitchen this morning. And I'm like, I looked in the garbage, and my garbage tape was taken out last night. I sprayed my garbage can with some of this rodent repellent, but I went to ChatGPT, my best friend, and it said to put some clove and vinegar in here. I don't know if there's any clove in here. I never even thought to look for the ingredients, precautionary storage directions. It doesn't say anything about cloves, but it says to put cloves, vinegar, and and peppermint oil together. And it has water, glycerin, polyglycerol, soap, no clove, no chives. So what I'm actually gonna do, because I earned $10 last night, I'm gonna take that $10 to Home Depot and buy me another spray. But I'm going to look for some cloves to put inside of the spray. And I spray, around the house, every couple of days, almost every day, to be honest, because it's basically like a routine of mine. And I spray the walls, I spray in the closets, I spray everything. But I need to actually go in my car and spray around my engine because a few people have mentioned that their wires are eating out. And then I'm gonna go in my cabinets, like under the sink and everything else, where I know they like to get in looking for water, and I'm gonna spray inside of those areas. I'm going to look for a wholesaler for some spray bottles, and then I'm gonna make the concoction myself, and then I'm gonna put it on my table. If I decide, whatever. I gotta try to find some type of way to earn. I'm just not comfortable, still being of some type of ability and not. So it is what it is. Boys and girls, I had a surprisingly fun day yesterday. I had two visitors, almost three. No, basically, I had three visitors. Mm. my friend came over to help me move the garden part into the craft room. We took down a shelf. A lot of stuff got out of here yesterday. A lot of stuff. Wait a minute. I had 4 visitors yesterday. Oh my goodness. That's like a freaking traffic train for somebody like me that don't be having company. But yesterday my friend came over and he saw the camera, didn't know that the camera was paused. He said, "Girlfriend, I'm on the camera. I can't be." I said, "It's paused." So he helped me and everything. I was very surprised that he literally lift up the plant thing with me and help me carry it in the shelf and everything because this man doesn't want to carry a Tootsie Roll. You hear me? A Tootsie Roll. I remember one time I was sick and he was taking me to the hospital and I had to leave here with my walker. He made me, I could barely walk on my own. He made me put my own walker in the back of his car. I said, "Aren't you going to help me?" He said, "You have to practice. You have to practice." Ah! He's always teaching something. But then his daughter needed a ride from the train station, so he picked her up. Not even 2 minutes after that, my neighbor came upstairs and I told her, I said, "Whatever it is you're trying to purchase, you need to get it now because I need to get some of this stuff out of here." Because she called me 2 days prior to tell me that she needed to make some baskets and things. And when she came in the room, she just started looking around. So blessings be the glory right there. And then after she left, on her way out, he was coming back in. And then right when he left, my neighbor came upstairs. So she ended up with a cup, a jar that I decorated. She was like, "Did you do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, this is beautiful." And I have quite a few spaghetti jars that I decorated, painted, put little gems and things on, and butterflies. She was like, "Oh," and she was like, "I really want this," but I'm gonna have to take a break now. Now that I got some stuff out, I'm okay. I'm feeling overwhelmed like I was. So I'm gonna take like a break and just figure some stuff out. Now today, being that I am going to 2 towns over to go to Home Depot, what I am gonna do is pack up some cards and take it to this lady that lives into a senior building out there. She's going to be so surprised to see that I left that there, being that I stopped all contact. But I had to stop all contact. I was going through mental issues, and I couldn't burden another person with things I was going through. How I was feeling. I didn't want to be around anymore. If you understand what I mean. So I just stopped all contact because I said, "You don't want to do that to your friends, and I don't want to do that to my friends." Now, MJ, I'm gonna do it to you every day, so you better call me. I'm not playing with you. But anyway, you understand what I mean. Yesterday, my neighbor came upstairs and we actually sat down and I turned on YouTube and we were watching different videos. And at one point we were in my craft room and she can't usually go in my craft room because my craft room is just too junky. But yesterday when she came in, she was and she looked and she went in and she sat down at my computer chair. So I was like, now I know that she and I feel a little better in this room because it was a little bit more air in there. You know what I'm saying? So, and so we sat down and we was watching the YouTube videos and I had the best time ever having conversation and everything. But I get tired of hearing, "You're smart, you know this." I know a lot, but I'm not the brightest light bulb in the lamp. So I just don't. And I understand now how people feel when someone constantly compliments them. It's not a bad thing, but it gets like old, after a while. So I kept hearing it. Then, "What's going on? I don't understand." And I'm like, but the good thing is she has a mental health illness. I have a mental health illness, and we had zero triggers yesterday. Zero triggers. Oh, it was so nice. I actually got up, went in the kitchen, and I put some fish patties, whatever you call it, in the air fryer to cook those up. And then I said to her, "Would you like some ice water?" And she said yes. And I said, "Okay, let me go wash my hands and make you some ice water." So I went in the kitchen, washed my hands and everything, washed the cup out and everything, gave her some ice water. I have some ice. This water is where do you get? Oh, this water. So I said, our water was on the news. You don't need bottled water here. So she was like, oh, I am definitely using this water from now on. I see so many people in this building coming in with cases and cases of water. This water was on the news. It's better than bottled water. But and you can even wash your hair with it. So, but it was really nice. Was really nice. And then the fish things, I made them a couple days ago, and when I put in the air fryer, I had to put in the air fryer 3 different times because it wasn't cooking enough. So yesterday I said instead of putting it on 6 minutes and then having to keep doing it a few times, I'll just put it on 25 minutes. Why did I do that? They came out a little dark, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But I like dark food, so there's no issues for me. I said, I'm sorry, you may not eat yours. And if you don't want to eat it, it's okay. But not thinking about it when I was preparing the plate, because I'm accustomed to being alone, I put ketchup and hot sauce on the fish, and I left hers on the kitchen counter. I said, your plate is on the counter. If you don't want to eat it, you don't have to because it did burn. So I ate mine, and when I bit into mine, oh my goodness, it wasn't burnt. It was actually just a little toasted. Beautiful, beautiful. I was like, oh, and it was crunchy and everything. So I was eating it. Then she was eating it. She said, you put hot sauce on this. I was, oh, I am so sorry. I apologize. She said, I know. I said, you like hot sauce? She said, yeah. I was like, oh my goodness. So I was so happy about that because I wasn't going to be able to eat it, after she took a bite out of it. And then I would have had to throw it in the garbage. And I am doing everything in my power not to waste food. So, okay. So we sat there, ate, whatever. And then a little while later, I said to her, do you like ice cream? And she said, yes. Okay. So I went and got myself an ice cream, and I got her ice cream. And she said, did you finish your ice cream already? I said, I chew ice cream. I don't, yes, so my ice cream is gone. It took her about a good 30 minutes to eat a ice cream sandwich. And by the time the ice cream sandwich wrapped up in the paper and everything, it was all ugly and stuff. The cookie had, so I was like thankful that I was able to have my ice cream and I have my fish and everything. But I'm going to tell you something. My mother will feed anybody. My mother would feed anybody. But we grew up knowing if you didn't have enough to share, you don't pull it out in front of people. So anything I have enough to share. So I felt really good. But what got me really, really like, is the fact that I was able to have her here for a couple of hours. And before, I would have all these anxiety issues, wanting her out, like especially with her going to my bathroom. She went to the bathroom about 3 times. She said, I am so sorry, but I have to use the bathroom. And I said, we use that bathroom right there. I didn't have any sort of anxiety issues, any of those things in my head that normally would be there. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so so thankful that I stopped that depression medicine. So now I believe I'm leaning towards letting my doctor know that I'm in transition of detoxing from some of this medicine that I was on, because every single day it is a chore to have to monitor my psychosis to see if certain things are coming back. Now, I do know yesterday my daughter arrived. And after the way she slammed my car door a couple days ago and cursed me in my car, I didn't want her here. And she already knew that. But when she came in and she saw who was here, she lit up like a Christmas tree and she was all happy. And I felt bad because what he had to witness me go through, when I saw tears building up in his eyes, knowing that he was not going to say anything. This man, when I say is peace, he's peace, and he does not interfere in family squabbles of any kind, but he wants me to say yes when I should say no. So that's the problem. But I looked, and the only thing I kept asking her, because what she did, I'm gonna keep it funky. She got a job, but when she took the job, she knew she needed a car. She banked on my car without my permission, knowing how I am with my vehicle. That is not a toy. It is not a toy. Not only that, she got the job. She started working. She called me. She said she needed the car for her first day of work, which is yesterday. I took the car to her. I specifically said, I'm leaving here in 10 minutes. When I got to her town, I called and said, I am in. And I pulled up, and I had to wait about 2 minutes for her to come down. The understanding is once I call you and tell you that I am there, you need to be downstairs. But I also told you I was leaving here in 10 minutes, which means you had time, especially being dressed. This person has an issue with being downstairs. She doesn't want to come downstairs until she sees you out the window. There's times I've literally waited 30 minutes. Normally, I would leave someone after 10 minutes. But anyway, long story short, she didn't end up with my car because I wouldn't let her drive me home that day. Why? Because I am used to doing, sometimes 40, sometimes less. I cannot be I can be a demon on the road. I can drive, but I prefer a slower ride. I just feel safer with a slower ride. This girl is a demon on the parkway, and I can't do it. So I stopped. And then she came here yesterday like everything was all happy go lucky. Like she never slammed out my door and none of that stuff. And then when I addressed the issue to let her know I'm not playing this thing with you anymore. And then she said, I just need the car for 6 days. And it wasn't even a factor for me. You're not getting my car. Bottom line, you went through a whole orientation, train, whatever, knowing you needed a car. So I personally take that as master manipulation because you're assuming because I'm home that you can just ride all over the place. No, you can't do that because I said that is not a toy. You don't just loan out your car, and especially to someone who cannot fix it. But when I purchased her a car before, when she crashed the car, crumbled up the car, she said, take the car to get the car fixed. I don't have no money. And she passed the car to me. But guess what? I got everything taken care of, and I returned it to the dealer. I may be a whole lot of things, but there's a time when I put my foot down and my foot is going to stand on the ground. But she stood in front of my friend and she cursed me some bad words and everything in front of him. And I kept asking her in kindness, I keep asking you to stop having conversations with me with those words. I don't care. You don't want to do this. Your life. You always want to do the right thing. And I don't care. It's me. And my friend sat there in torture to see what I have to go through. But I called him this morning at 5 o'clock this morning, and I thanked him for not doing what I wanted him to do, and that was to stop her from using those words that he would never, ever tolerate from any of his children. That man has 5 children. He has been an on-hands father, support, no child support, none of that. This man takes care of. Or even his adult children, he still, if any of them were to speak to him with a bad word, he would disown them off. Nothing else would be said. And what he had to witness yesterday, but I thanked him for staying because true, whether you believe it or not, she was very calm because he was here. If he wasn't here, she would have flipped the script and she would have left here with my keys because she would have took my keys without my permission. She would have dared me to call the cops knowing I wasn't going to call the cops. And the only reason why I wouldn't call the cops is not because of anything like that, because I feel already she's going to end up in prison. I just feel it, and I'm not going to the prison either. But if I call the police because she took my car, they're going to tow my car. I have no money to get my car out of tow. I lost my car before when someone took my car and it got towed. Not only did it get towed, it got the dashboard dismantled, windows broken. I lost my vehicle. So I didn't want to play that game. But I am so proud of myself because not once did I get upset. I knew the game. I played this game before. No, I didn't get upset. But one thing I do know, I am at fault. I am at fault for allowing her to get to where she feels I am obligated. And that is a lesson she's going to have to pay the piper for. Learning that I am not obligated. When you make me feel like I'm obligated, baby, we playing a whole new ball game. And I am going to serve you on a platter, and you're not going to like it. And I believe another thing that is really getting under her skin is that I am not getting angry. I'm not going to do that. Mm-mm. If I get angry, then the voice is going to start coming back. I'm going to start crying and all that other stuff. Me, now I'm a totally different shell than I was before. But when the cycle continues to go around and go around and go around, and now I know, as hard as it is, there is a lesson in almost everything every single day. And sometimes we don't want these lessons, but she stood in front of me, in front of that man. And when I asked her, I keep asking you to stop speaking to me with that terminology. I'm not going to listen to that. She was like, I'm the same age as you. We both grown. I'm your age. And she was, and I'm looking at this girl. She's bigger than me in body. She's taller than me. And she's looking at me. I'm 56. She's 31. And she legit feels, and I was so proud of her yesterday. I say proud, very proud. You know why? Because she said something that explains her behavior that I was confused about for many years. She sees me as her equal. That's it. So as long as she sees me as her equal, I can't be anything to her. So I asked her in kindness yesterday in front of him. I said, baby, you have to protect yourself. And if you feel that way about me, stay away from me. That's it. She almost cried. She was like, I could stay with you. I don't need you. Well, baby, you got to take care of yourself. If anybody makes you feel like that, the way you feel about me, baby, you got to stay away from me. I said, you got to do self-love. You got to take care of yourself. She didn't want to hear that. And that goes for anybody. I don't care who it is. Anybody make you feel that you have to get all outside your shell and behave like that, baby, you have to protect yourself, your peace, your tranquility. You gotta back away. And sometimes you have to say to yourself, I don't need this person in my life if they're making me feel this way. I was devastated, and I wish, although the camera was paused, I wish the camera was live at one point. She told him she gave me $10,000 to pay on my car, and I was worried for myself at that moment, because when you can convince yourself of a lie like that, you don't know who else you can convince. And when I looked, I'm like, and I just closed my mouth, and I walked away, left the room. Next thing I know, I heard him. He said, Charisma, your mother give you $10,000 for the car? She said, if it wasn't 10,000, it was 8,000. Well, he already knows that's not true, because anybody who knows me know the hustle and grind was real when I was paying Susie off, and you didn't hit me off with it. Nah, I said to him, because I had water in my eyes, but I walked away when everything was over, when she walked out, because at some point she just took herself and walked through the front door because she knew the game was over. But I looked at him, I said, honey, I am on housing, I have Social Security, I have all of this. I said, can you imagine if you were a judge and she stood in front of a judge and said she handed me $10,000 and I didn't put that money towards my household and all the other things I have to do? Can you imagine if the judge would have believed her? He said, I know. He said, I just wish things were better between you two. I said, well, and I'm not at the point where I have to worry about us mending ways. I am already at the point where I can live my life without her, because it is good one minute and bad another, and it's because we both have bipolar disorder. I'm always gonna be her trigger, and I know it. I know it, and I explained this to her already. She doesn't want me to tell her to do the right thing, and I'm okay with that. Even my neighbor last night, she legit cursed yesterday. She got so angry. Someone moved out of the building, and we both knew the person for years. The person lived in this building for 3 years, left here owing $6,000 in rent, and she's, you know, I'm glad she left here because they didn't, the water bust in, the ceiling came down. Now the ceiling didn't come down in the person's apartment. It came down in the garage. I showed y'all the ceiling, so it came down in the garage and in the main lobby, not in the girl's apartment. But she used that as an excuse. That doesn't give you $6,000 of not paying rent. The water that we just went through just happened last month. So what you're saying is that you are straight up not a good person. And I'm using that kindness for this video because that is definitely not what I said yesterday about the mutual person we both know. And I went to school with her daughter, love her daughter and everything, but I told her, I said, you don't have anything else to say. If you live in someone's property and you can owe them $6,000 and you leave here with goodness in your mind and you feel good about yourself, that tells you the type of person the person is. So you have nothing else to say. And I said, I don't even, I'm not doing this anymore. And she got angry and she had said a curse word because she had got angry. So I turned around and I looked at her and her hand went like this because she know my brass knuckles. I'm going to pull them out on you in a minute. You're in my home. But I understand why she got angry because she felt I was saying something negative about someone that she feels really dearly about. But if this is your circle and you think that this is good, then maybe you and I are gonna have to part ways, But I'm not gonna judge her on that. But I told her that type of behavior, nah, I wouldn't have stood for that. I wouldn't have stood for that, and I wouldn't have co-signed it. And I told her, I said, if this building does anything to you, and you feel the way you feel, get out the building. That's it. Get out the building. I said, and she should have put her money in escrow. Any issue she had, she should have put her money in escrow. So you don't do that. A landlord is a person who needs their money to pay their bills the same way you need yours. Maybe I'm the problem, so maybe I need to think about some things. I'm not afraid to learn, boys and girls. I'll tell you something. I am beyond excited for what's coming in the coming weeks. The only thing is, I'm like, a part of me want to throw away all of this gardening stuff because I went to ChatGPT and I was asking questions about the peppermint spray and all this other stuff, and it said the rodents like a potting soil. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I would have known this before, because I don't want to be in here adding things in here to contribute to this type of behavior in here. So, but it said, all the things that I'm doing in here is doing prevention. And I mentioned, my neighbor right across the hall has 0 sealed holes. They just run up in our house. You know what I'm saying? So and it basically said the fight that I'm doing here is almost for nothing if they can walk right under my front door. So I'm going to go to Home Depot and see if they have that thing. They said to put a strip under the door, but to reinforce it with some 000 steel wool, which means now I would have to step up, over the steel wool to get in, but I got to do what I have to do because I just don't want that stuff in my door. When I spray the peppermint, I hear her complaining but she know exactly what that peppermint is for. Exactly. And I'm so sorry that, she and I were really good at one point and now she doesn't like me anymore. So now we're not friends. Now, although she doesn't like me, I don't have any issues with her not liking me. In kindness, I have left things at her door, rang her bell for her packages, helped her from the elevator. I do it all because I have no issue with her. She has an issue with me, and I understand her issue. I still feel sorry for what I did, but I just was under medication. I was asleep. I didn't know. Her husband was crying at the door because she was in an argument. She threw him out, and he asked, could he come in and sit down? I was at the door, like this, and I just see, this man crying. So I messaged her. She still has a key to my door. I said, Your husband's on the couch. I came in here, closed my door, and I went right back to bed. And she's upset with me because I let him in, while they were having. But I was completely sleeping when he came to the door. When you looking at somebody who answered the door and they looking at you and they standing there, you think that they can hear you. I couldn't basically hear. I was freaking medicated, and all I see, he crying. I'm a softy, boys and girls. I see the man crying, and all I wanted to do was get back in my bed. If I would have tripped over something or whatever, I was trying to go to sleep. So I just texted, open the door. He's trying to get in. He's on the couch. Use your key. And so, but I called my neighbor in the morning. I cried for 3 straight hours. When I woke up, he wasn't even here, so he wasn't here that long. But I cried for 3 hours straight because I didn't know what had happened. I was asleep and everything. So I said, now she says to me, "Do you want his clothes?" And I'm like, I still didn't understand what she meant when she said, "Do you want his clothes too?" And I said, like this, and closed my door. That was it. But when I called my friend downstairs and I told him, he said, no, nothing you did can change what she thinks. She's looking at you as someone who slept with her husband when the door was. I said, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yes." He said, "Nothing you can say to her." He said, "She thinks you and her husband did something when the door was closed." I said, "She has a key to my door. I told her he was on the couch. What, are you serious?" He said, "Nothing you can say." I said, "Even if I go to her," he said, "don't even bother." He said, "Because her mind is seeing you as the predator, and that's it." And I said, "Are you serious?" And I was devastated when he said that. He said, "Do you look at you? Do you see how old you are? Do you look at you? You see your shape? Do you see that woman?" I'm like, oh, that, boys and girls, is why I don't really want. And if I have a girlfriend and she has a husband, boyfriend, all that, I am completely distancing myself. I don't want no parts of that. My friend downstairs got mad at me because we were in the living room chatting it up one day, and then he walked in the door. I got up immediately and walked out. Now me and him are very cordial. We talk downstairs, we do it all, but I still have boundaries when it comes to being. I could never tell you what color that man's shirt is because I look in his eye when I'm speaking to him, greet him, whatever. But all that other friendship, I don't need. I have never believed in. I need to be friends with your friends, and you need to be friends with my friends. No, we do not, because not one of my female friends could come in here if my man is in here. Not one. Mm-mm. Not one. And especially the one that was here yesterday. She couldn't be around because she paid to play. So that means, and not saying that she would violate me. I wouldn't want to go to prison for the disrespect because she paid to play. So, and then I don't play those games. So, you don't have to worry about being friends and around me. But yesterday, my friend he's my ex. We spent 7 years together. Still love the man and everything. When he called and said he was on his way, I said, "Okay." He said, "You still have company?" I said, "No," knowing that my friend was here. So when she was walking out, he was walking in, and he opened the door. This was the first time the man just touched the doorknob and came straight in. Never in all the years I lived here, that man would touch my doorbell without ringing. So when the door opened, I'm like, "Oh, I guess he's getting comfortable again." So now I got to put some distance between us. But she looks, and she, of course, knew who he was. So then he's looking, and then when she laughed, he said, "Who is that?" And he felt, I said, "You know exactly who that is." And then he went to remember. He said, "That's her?" I said, "Yes, that's her." He said, "Oh, okay." Because he's very, very, very private. He doesn't like people or in his business, none of that stuff. But he was okay. So I started laughing, and I said, "You thought my boyfriend was here when I said I had company." I said, "But I don't know how you could think that, because I would never have answered the phone to say I had company." Now, the reason why I say that is because my boyfriend doesn't want a man in here unless he has blood DNA connected to me. But I can do a whole lot of things, but I pay my rent by myself. So there's a whole lot of things that you can't tell me. But I'm not gonna say, but I'm not gonna do this. You can't tell me. I'm not. I don't play those type of games. I just let you and what you see and how you see me live. That's fine and dandy. Because the door don't ring, the phone don't ring, none of that stuff when that man is in this house. So he has no reason to be fretting. But I don't want to be that woman that has man company in and out to where the person she's with doesn't feel comfortable at night when they're home going to bed at night. I am not that woman. I don't want that kind of stuff going on. Mm. So it is what it is. But in all fairness, I'm moving slowly away from him. That's why I don't care about having my ex coming in here anymore, because before I wasn't letting him come here at all because I didn't want to be that person. But my boyfriend has two businesses, and a lot of people rely on him for a lot of things. His time, most definitely, and he doesn't have time for me. So, with kindness, love, and respect, I've been distancing myself. Huh? Mm, 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 mm. Boys and girls, my meal I prepared yesterday. Oh, it is better today. Mm, 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 mm. I I got so tired of eating sausage. I couldn't eat sausage anymore. I gave myself a break, and yesterday was the first day I made sausage, and I've been dipping in here, taking the sausage out. But the ground beef is in every bite of goodness. Every bite of goodness. Mm, 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 mm. But one of the things that I'm happy about, I can't eat. I don't like tangy pasta, tomatoes. But since I have been weaning myself off of that sweet coffee, I haven't had coffee in weeks. That sweet coffee, I don't drink any more of my flavored water. Now I am able to eat tomatoes without having to add sugar to it. And this pot right here, it is such a different taste to me because I didn't put sweetness in it. So I'm happy about that. I will tell you what I'm sad about, boys and girls. Do you want to cry with me? I want a slice of pizza. Mm. Oh, I tried gluten-free food before. How anyone could eat gluten-free bread and gluten-free crackers, it is a wonder. Mm. I can't eat that. I don't know how. I may try one in the future, but it might be a total waste. Mm, 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 mm. Oh, I'm allergic to shellfish, so if I clean shrimp and all other stuff, I need to take put some gloves on and stuff. But I've noticed over the years I am not a seafood fan. Mm-mm, mm, mm-mm. Boys and girls, when I tell you, I opened that window a few minutes ago. Mm. I opened that window. You might see the curtain moving, but it is definitely a little freezing in my room. Ah! Ah! Woo! I need a little cool. Ah! It is freezing in my room, and no, I'm not closing that window. I need air on my head. Ah! Mm, 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 mm. Now, in a few minutes, my neck is gonna be hot, gonna be too hot because I really can't have anything above this part of my shoulder. But right now, I need a little bit of warmth. So this is the sheet that I sleep with at night, and I'm looking for my sheet that matched this pillowcase right here. My friend Coral sent me to me that sheet set, and boy, it's comfortable. But I cannot, for the love of, I don't know where the sheet is, and I look everywhere, and it's not like I got a whole bunch of stuff thrown everywhere. Now my craft room is one thing, but the regular part of my, so I'm like, where did the sheet go? I'm hoping. I know I didn't give it to anyone. That I can promise you. I only have one set of sheet, and that's the sheet, and then the one that my neighbor bought me, but boys and girls, that sheet got beads on it. Every time I feel like I'm sleeping on crumbs, I now wipe up, it's beady. I can't sleep. Polyester sheets, they shouldn't even sell that crap in a store. Good grief, who wants polyester on their back when they go to bed at night? Oh my goodness. But it is what it is. Beverly, I want to thank you so much, but I want to tell y'all something. I opened up a new Facebook group yesterday, but I still have about 3 groups, and they're very inactive groups. So today I'm going to take my time and remove all members from the group, and I'm going to delete the group. Yesterday I made a Facebook group, and it says the struggle is real, and that group is basically for hopefully other people put videos up of food or things that can help other people. If people have savings they want to talk about, or whatever the case may be. But um I have a plan for my YouTube channel, not this year, sometime maybe 20 the end of 2026 or whatever the case may be. So I said I'm going to start a new group because I wanted to do a group. But my other group, I had over 200 members, but it was basically an inactive group. People were doing liking every now and then. They were viewing. If I asked a comment, they didn't answer. So it was very inactive. And rather than say, this or whatever, I said it's time to walk away. So one thing with me, I'm a Libra. I know when it's time to say goodbye. So I went to ChatGPT and said, how can I close this group without warning, without notifying the group that I'm closing it down? And it said just delete all the members and then delete yourself. So I still click, 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 click. My hand was getting so tired, just click, click, click. And next, maybe an hour later, the group was ended, and I felt so good. And I'm a person that believes that if you need to part ways for whatever reason, you don't always need to announce it. You know what I'm saying? So I was thankful for that. Plus, there are a few Facebook connections that are not to my liking anymore, because I notice it's more about boasting and um, not being a person. I like to help people, and that could be a problem with people taking advantage of me and stuff like that. But when I'm in groups and we're all trying to earn together, and you're really and truly out for yourself, and everything else is generated for your benefit, I had to part ways from other people's groups. And then I noticed that they distanced themselves from me in other aspects. So this group had about 3 of those nonchalant type of members. So I said, and I'm doing some distancing away from sharing my bracelets and my cards and stuff like that, because I don't have any support from that. Yesterday, I was absolutely surprised. I'm on the computer and YouTube pops up. And when YouTube popped up, my eBay link was right under my name. I said, I didn't know YouTube does that. And so YouTube not only advertised my video, but my eBay channel. But I'm getting no views on eBay. None whatsoever. I have the same 8 watchers watching my items that were watching maybe 2 months ago. So I said this morning what I was going to do, and I've done it quite often. I'm not going to lie. And I know what people think. If you have watchers, you have buyers. That is not true. A lot of times, watchers are sellers that want to whatever your item against theirs. And y'all know the math on that. So I said today I was going to take some time, and each item on there that has a watcher that's been watching for almost 2 months, just delete the whole item. But I may delete everything I have in eBay and then take my time listing different listings on eBay. But for me, basically all of that stuff is gone. But on another note, my friend was sitting down yesterday and she said, "Did you write this book?" And I said, "Yes." And she picked up the book, but it was 2 books, 2 different books. So I handed her the other book and I said, this is the other book. It's two different books. So she said, you wrote a book? And I said, yes. And see me on the book? And she said, I want to write a book. You have to show me how to do that. But I'm going to tell you something that drives me a little insane. There has been a few things that she wanted to learn, and she keeps saying, I need you to teach me. I need you to teach me. And then when I went to try to teach her, she was uninterested. So now when she says, because anything that comes to the word work, she's not trying to hear it. She's not trying to hear it. So when she said that yesterday, I disregarded it. And I'm so thankful that I've mastered silence, because not everything needs a conversation. So I'm blessed that I'm learning these little things that are helping me manage day to day, when in the past I would have bunkered out. But I said, and there is no chance of me trying to teach her anything. When this spray right here, when she saw me spraying, she asked me, can she have it? And that's when I realized there's an abuse of my kindness that's going on now. Yesterday she said, can I have a pair of socks because my feet are cold? And I gave her a pair of socks. This is the third time she has asked me for a pair of socks. So the next time she asks me for a pair of socks, I'm going to close the window. I'm going to close the window because I gave her brand new socks each time. And when people don't realize that they're, like, I gave my mother a lot of socks, for people that will come in. But kindness is, if you know someone doesn't wear shoes in their house, and they give you socks, at least for me, take them off and put them in dirty clothes so they can be sanitized and used again, especially if you know that you are the only one that's really coming in. But I'm not going to hand out a brand new pair of socks every time she comes in. So I can see that there's a small little bit of, and then she's like, can I have this? And I said, yeah, you can have it. And she said, oh, I really like this. And she took it, and then the cups, you said I can have this, right? And it reminds me of this lady that I met, and we were here for a few hours, and then she said, you think I can have a pillow? And I gave her the pillow, and she said, may I have one of your pens? I gave her one of my decorated pens, and then she said, oh, your book, can I have one of your book? And so she ended up with a book, a pen, I think a bracelet, earrings, I think a tote bag. She ended up with one of everything. And when I realized that what she was doing was unbearable to me, I said, well, I'm getting tired now. I'm going to give you a ride home. And she was like, okay. And then she still tried to stay and stay. I legit had to get up, and my head was literally about to explode. I was like, I can't deal with this. And I have never seen her again. I saw her twice at the Dollar Tree before we came here, and we were talking and everything. But if I ever see her again, I'm going to, of course, be kind and cordial, and that's it. And if there's any conversation of us leaving the store together or I'm going to say no. And I'm not going to lie, because I've done it quite few times already. When I see people that I don't want to engage with, and they come, hey, I have COVID. I'll say something contagious. I'm not gonna lie. I am who I am. You like me or you don't. I will say it if I have COVID and back up away from me. But my mama was in a car with me one day, and somebody came to the window all excited because they haven't seen me in so long, and I do not like chatting it up in the street. If I got somewhere to go, boys and girls, I want to go where I'm going, and I want to come back. Those little distractions can put you in a time zone to where something can happen that you could have completely avoided if you didn't spend 5 minutes chatting it up with just random people. So I said, I'm so sorry, but I have COVID. My mother was crying. My mother was like, you are wrong. You are Mom! Ah! My mother was She's like, you are wrong. What you did? My mother tell you you're wrong in a minute. I was cracking up. She, why did you do that? He was only wanted to say, I was like, girl, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta leave. I don't like dilly dallying out in the street. Ain't nothing out there. There is. I hate the word ain't. And I notice I use it because I'm listening to different videos and stuff. But please, if you hear that word come out of my mouth a few times, please let me know so I can correct my I'm working. But I don't want to be out there dilly dallying because it could take 5 minutes and place you there when something come your way that you could have just completely avoided. I don't know. You see that sun popping out there? It's like 7 o'clock now. Home Depot doesn't open up until about 8:30. But I already took my shower, and this morning I was so happy because when I got up this morning, the first thing I did was got that spray, and then I went in the bathroom and everything. I said, "Is the Lord gonna provide me some hot water this morning?" I lift up the thing, and boys and girls, the hot water was right there. I said, "I'm getting in the shower." So I got in the shower, and I was taking in my little time, doing my little washing and washing. I love taking a bath with baking soda, but baking soda is not good for your skin too much because it dries you out. But it sure enough keeps me fresh. My skin just feels fresh, and I love washing my head with baking soda, and I love washing my face with baking soda. But it is what it is. My daughter comes here, baking soda. Someone else comes here, baking soda. Because when he showers, he has to use baking soda. That's a man, honey. You got to get all up in there with that baking soda. But he takes baking soda, so I have about maybe I would say 8 boxes of baking soda in the bathroom. So now I'm wondering, do I need to move my surplus of baking soda? And this is why I say to people, and people think that I don't know. I mentioned because someone was saying they put a picture up in one of the frugal groups and said, how do you store your things? Because I have my shelf here, and the way that I saw the shelf, you couldn't really see what was near the shelf. I said, whatever you do, just make sure that shelf is not seen to the naked eye of people coming in and out of your home. So she was like, well, why shouldn't I let my stuff be seen? I said, well, maybe I'm the crazy one. So I don't know. Maybe it was just something I was thinking. And then she messaged back something like, maybe she's the crazy one, but I just put a thumbs up. If you think it's okay to have your shelf with surplus this and this exposed to people, knowing how people can be, oh, do you have an extra? I had someone call me that was very disgusted that day because someone was in her home and saw she had an excess amount of a certain item, and then the person left her house and then called about an hour later to say, by any chance, do you have? What do you expect somebody to say when you know they have? I clearly say I don't have any to spare. That's it. I don't have any. I may want 10 of these to feel comfortable within my quality of living. I may need 10. I don't have one to spare. And that's it. But this particular person calls for everything. Do you have any extra dish detergent? Do you have any extra? But they don't have no problem sitting their ass in that hair supply store, getting that hair done and going to the shop and spending all that money to sit down and get them damn braids. No. And I said, don't let me have to go to the person and let them know not to come to you no more. Oh, please don't do that. Just no, I don't have it to spare. Because if I find out that you giving and giving and there's gonna be a problem. Because I don't like when people call me and say, and I feel a certain way, and then I feel like I have to defend you. I am gonna defend you, especially if I know that you my family member and you don't have it. Like, don't just nip it in the bud now, because if I have to say something, then it's gonna be a problem. And I always, even my sister, Sharon, please don't say anything. Well, don't tell me. That's it. Don't tell me, because you are asking me to rescue you, and I'm going to rescue you by making sure this person stop abusing your kindness. That's it. You can't come in here and see my surplus of my food and stuff like that. You can't come in here and see my food. Hell no. Are you serious? Now, I have a case of corn right here. I'm not going to lie. I got a case of corn, some ketchup, some relish, or something else that I didn't put in my pantry. But this part of my apartment is where my bedroom is and where my personal bathroom is. So really and truly, unless I want to show someone something in my bedroom, no one really comes on this side of the apartment. So that case of whatever. And now that I have that cabinet that y'all haven't seen yet, I may put some stuff in there since that cabinet is closer to my kitchen. But we have to be proactive about some of these things. You don't want, just because you got 50 rolls of, let's say, toilet paper, you don't want people to, I'm just gonna go to the house and grab a toilet paper. These are expenses that add up over time that people are trying to save money on. You cannot save money by handing everything out. You know what I'm saying? Now, one thing with me, yesterday I bestowed kindness, but first I sat down with a damn calculator. And then I wanted some things going, but you can believe, and you can believe me when I tell you, I know exactly what I did before whatever left here. I knew exactly what I did. So don't think I didn't get what I was supposed. Nah, I can bestow you some kindness, but I'm damn sure I'm not going to sit down and say to someone. Now, I last night I had someone contact me, and she wanted all of a certain item, and she said, "Can you give me a good price? You can get the best price ever." I didn't pay a dime for what that woman is getting. Not one single dime. So yeah, I can bestow you some kindness. This is the price. Yeah, I want all of them. Yeah, you can have all of them. And guess what? That is just another bill for me to pay. That's it. But I have to do what I have to do. Now I have something else in here. I'm delivering it today. I have to struggle to whatever the case may be. So now I am going to toss on a $20 delivery charge. Why? Because if I was in business somewhere else, and you can't keep on saying to me, I have a business that is not, definitely don't have a business, because I don't feel I have a business. If you're not earning, you don't, and you're not, that you can't have a business if you're not earning. That's the bottom line. And I'm not earning. These little scrapings that I got, those are blessings that God is providing for me, but working and all, I don't have it. And I've tried, but I said, now there's and I was going to call someone, which yesterday I said I need help with something, but there's a, I'm going to just say it. I mentioned that I needed help with something to take to someone else. So you already know that's a hustling grind. You already know I'm handing you something for what you're doing, because I don't play with people's time. I don't care if you're sitting on your mattress doing nothing. If I'm trying to teach you, you have to have a different type of mind state. I'm not going to abuse your kindness. So then he said, why don't you just tell me you want to see me? That turns the whole conversation to me from a positive to a negative. So I said, I don't want to play these games. I said, this is about business, and I need you to stay focused. You need money, and that's it. Okay. I'm sorry. No, that's why I stopped this person from entertaining in my home, because those little sly comments I don't know about you, and you can leave it in the comments, let me know. That is disrespectful. And I always say, if your partner was in front of me, would you still have that kind of sly comment to make? And that's why I say boundaries need to be drawn, and they need to be stomped on, because people make you feel a certain way. And I don't want anyone in my home that makes me feel like that, because I was already a victim. Somebody put me and a friend was sitting down drinking, and he slipped a drink, a thing in my drink. I never told anyone, but when I woke up on my floor with no clothes on, my clothes everywhere, the glass, he's gone. I had no idea what happened, how it ended up like that, or nothing, until the very next day when he came down, his cologne hit my nose and all the visions came back. I was completely disrespected, but I don't trust anybody to make me feel a certain type of way. And you come in here and you have all this type of stuff, and these little slide. Now, y'all already know how much space is in my living room. I could legit be standing up trying to move. This person will not move out of my way just so that we can touch passing. But I kid you not, and I'm not proud. When I drape that ass up and boom into the water, lift up this throat, when I just see the fear on his face, don't make me feel uncomfortable in my home. I am the female that will fight you back. So I boom on the wall, and I hemmed them up. Don't you could well all you had to do was say no. This living room is a lot of space, and it's like move out of my way. That's it. I don't make me feel like I'm in a supermarket and I have to say excuse me in my living room. You see me moving, you know I'm trying to pass. Just slide over. I kid you not. I boom, and I felt horrible. But if I had to connect, who knows, going home in that condition, of course, somebody would have been, you better call the cops and stuff like that. What am I supposed to say? This person made me, bypass them where I have I'm just not dealing with that. That to me is disrespectful. Yesterday, my friend was here. I gave him, I gave him a certain item, and he busted open and everything. Now, this guy and I was together for 7 years, so this man knows more about me than anybody knows about me, and we're still best friends, but we do not sleep together. There's no friendship in sleeping together with me. If I say somebody's my friend, I am not having sex with them. That's why I don't like friends. But yesterday he just took it and put it on my butt. I turned around and he jokingly laughed about it, but in that moment, I had to stop and realize that this person is not being facetious the way I was thinking, but I said, I don't want you to do that. And I said, I need you to know that it needs to stop. And he stopped. Absolutely. Got up from a chair, came in, because I said it point blank. Any type of sexual harassment, I'm filing charges. Oh, you would do, I would have to do it because it's the only way for me to teach you the line that is drawn between us. If you want us to be friends, we can be friends, but I don't partake in that with my friends. I don't. I have legit had people around me bringing this person around to me, oh, this is my friend, and then they're doing this, and they have their main squeeze around me, then they bring them their side squeeze. I'm parting ways because when this person find about the squeeze and pull out the gun, I don't want to just happen to be, can you imagine? You knew all along. No, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be, and I'm not going to share that type of pain. I can't do it. Boys and girls, let me tell y'all something. I am definitely going to have a good day. I can absolutely feel it, even though y'all can see little sweat beads falling on my forehead and everything like that. But I'm going to have a good day. I'm going to end my video now because this girl has been chatting up a storm. But I want to prepare myself. I'm going to go in my craft room. I'm going to get a few more things out to just kindly drop at my ex-friend's door. I don't want to see her. I don't want her to ask me why, whatever, because I just don't want no more connection with this person. She and I were friends for so long, but she's the type of person that if you're positive, I basically try to think positive, and when I think something positive, she thinks lack of trust. So lack of trust is my positive. So it's like oil and water. So if I say, oh, someone needs this, you mean it time you believe them? How do you know they're not? I don't want any of that kind of conversation. If I'm going to bestow someone some kindness, baby, let me do what I have to do. Do not say to me, how do you know? You know what I would have to do to find out if they were really telling the truth that they needed food or a light bill paid. That's not my business. It's not my business. I'm not an investigator. Either I'm going to help you or I'm not. But no, that's why I stopped. If someone say, "Do you have $10?" No, I don't have $10. I have a bill to pay, and I damn sure do. I have $1,000 bill to pay, but it doesn't look like it's gonna get any smaller. But today I'm upset. I can't find my debit card. So I have no way to go I got to take my driver's license to the bank because I want to take the money I earned yesterday and put it on my bill because I'm really happy. So, especially if I end up thinking that a mouse is looking for the potatoes or whatever I'm trying to, y'all already know. I'm not going to absolutely walk rodents into my apartment. I'm not doing it. Absolutely not.